Hi everyone, it's Lynn from Hey Lynn Vintage and welcome back to another retro cooking recipe. I do have a little bit of a cold, but I feel fine. I just sound horrible. So this is Bake Off number 35. This is 1992, the year my daughter was born. Kudos to Haley. But Gladys Fulton won this for her Pennsylvania Dutch cake and custard pie. So she wrote this recipe by using her three favorite foods, applesauce, cake, and pie. Who doesn't love that? This took place in Orlando, Florida. And one of the people that was really funny to give out the prizes and actually hosted the Pillsbury Bake Off this year was Willard Scott. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was a really funny weatherman. So yes, he got to host it, give out the prizes. And what's not to love about a funny guy giving you a prize? So with that being said, let's go taste Gladys's love of applesauce, cake, and pie. See you at that ingredient table. All right, ingredients for Pennsylvania Dutch cake and custard pie. So we need a Pillsbury, well, you can use store brand if you want to, pie crust. We do have our pie pan here too. We will need a third of a cup. This is for the filling. A third of a cup of sugar. We need 2 tablespoons of flour, a teaspoon. They have apple pie spice. I have pumpkin pie spice here. The only difference is it's got a little bit of clove and mace in it. Not a big deal. So we're just going to use that, 1 teaspoon of that. We need a cup of applesauce. So these little cups are 4 ounces. 1 egg slightly beaten. We also need a 2/3 cup of sour cream and a 1/3 cup of molasses. So this is the stuff for the filling. And then to make our cake mix, we then need a 1/2 cup of sugar, a 1/4 cup of butter softened. So I have a 1/2 stick of butter here. We need a 1/2 cup of sour milk. When I was going through the ingredients, I didn't really realize, I didn't take into account sour milk. So buttermilk. I would have bought buttermilk. Scott loves buttermilk, but 1/2 cup. So I am just going to add a teaspoon of lemon to my 1/2 cup of milk to make it sour. Let that stand for 5 minutes and it'll basically be buttermilk then. We need an egg. We also need, in here I have, what do I have in here? I have a tablespoon, a teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So baking powder, soda, and salt. And then here I have a 1.25 cups of flour. I don't know if I said my egg. And then we also need a teaspoon of vanilla. So that's for the cake part. So hopefully I was pretty clear on that. And I don't know if you guys know the difference between baking powder and baking soda. Real quick, baking powder is usually used when you do not have an acid, because then it has the acid in it. It's like baking soda with an acid. Which this, because of the sour milk, that's your acid to help form the carbon dioxide. So usually if there is an acid in the recipe, you only use baking soda. But in here, they are using both. Maybe they wanted to make sure that their cake rose and they trapped the carbon dioxide. So that's basically what you're doing with your baking powder or baking soda. So baking powder has basically baking soda and acid, and then you just have baking soda. All right, so hopefully that helped explain it a little bit. With that, let's get started with, I believe we start to make this, and then we move to this, and we'll get it in our preheated oven to 350 degrees. So let's get started. All right, so I do have my dough into the pie pan. I have a 10-inch here, but it still worked just fine. I just kind of fluted it a little bit with my fingers. We are not going to prick the bottom of this because we are going to fill it. So then we are going to make the filling. So I have the 1/3 cup of sugar in here. Then it says to add the 2 tablespoons of flour and your spice mix. And then it just says to add the rest of the ingredients to this. So we have the 1 cup of applesauce. So these 2 little half cups here, we're going to throw those in. Just add it all together. We've got our 2/3 cup of sour cream. We're going to add that all in. Get that all in there. And then get more of that out. And then, of course, we got the 1/3 cup of molasses. I will scrape everything in there off camera. And then our beaten egg. That is all of the ingredients. We are going to mix this together. This is the filling. And then we will make the cake mix. So that we're supposed to just mix this together, set it aside, and then we will start on our cake mix. Let's start on the cake mix. All right, so we've got our 1/4 cup of butter in here. We are going to blend together our 1/4 cup of butter and our 1/2 cup of sugar. We just want to make sure that that is thoroughly blended together. So you do want your butter to be softened for that. Let's let that come together a few minutes. Great, so our butter and sugar has come together. We're going to add our sour milk or buttermilk, whichever one that you've used. I did put a teaspoon of lemon juice in my milk and let it sit for a little while. We're going to blend this together. And then we're going to add our egg and our teaspoon of vanilla. I just kind of have them combined into the same bowl here. So we're going to add that to this mixture. Let this all come together. So then we have our 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, our it's the baking powder, and then it's a 1/4 teaspoon of the soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of baking powder, right? I don't know, I'll put the right ingredients there. All right, so we got our salt, our baking powder, and our baking soda. I'm going to stir that into, I'm going to stir the soda, the salt, and the powder right into my flour. And then we're going to add this to this mixture. So we're just going to turn this down a little bit. And then we're going to slowly add the flour, the salt, and the soda right in there. I like to add it to the flour so that I know that it's incorporated all together. So this is the cake mixture. Get that all in there. All right, we're gonna lower our bowl and scrape our sides just to make sure everybody is incorporated. Let's get that lowered. Scrape down our sides. I'll turn this back on. All right. Put this back up. Let's get this done one more time. All right. Let's let this go for a minute and then we'll get it into our pie pan. All right, so we've got our crust lined pan here. We are just going to spoon the cake mixture into the bottom of this, all of this cake mixture. I scraped it down, made sure it was mixed really well. Just kind of even this out into our pie pan. So we're going to get this all mixed out into there. Let me just scrape this all in there. All right, so we got all that cake mixture down in here. I'm just going to spread it out evenly. Definitely a different concept. I've never done cake pie, the whole 9 yards all together. That's what we're doing here. All right, so we got that all evenly spread out. And then we are just going to pour the filling mixture on the top of this. So I have that filling mixture right there. We're just going to pour this right on top of this. All right, and then this goes into our 350-degree preheated oven for 55 to 65 minutes. See you when it's done. Scott, what did you think of the, what is it, Dutch custard pie? I don't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually really good. It's like it's a pumpkin pie slash kind of apple pie. It's really good. I mean, it's a real alternative to just a pumpkin pie. I don't know. I really like it. It'd be a good Thanksgiving Day
Yeah.
pie.
The molasses in it's a little bit different that we normally don't use.
It's like a custard pie that wants to be a pumpkin pie that has like a little bit of apple pie flavor that hits you at the end.
Yeah.
It's actually really good. I'd make it, or I'd have you make it again.
Yeah, it was pretty good. All right, with that being said, this is Lynn and Scott from Halen Vintage. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.